everyone. Welcome back to Mom and Podcast. We can't believe we are here for episode 10. I'm Megan.
I'm Jessica.
And we are going to keep our intro short this week. This has been a little bit of a heavy week, a tired week for everyone. We know 2020 has been a weird year, so we don't need to talk anymore about the things you're probably trying to escape while listening to this podcast. So we are just going to kind of go into our episode.
Hopefully this episode provides you a little bit of relief and a little break and a little inspiration, because the woman that Megan is about to introduce is wonderful and so inspiring and just such a warm, loving person. I just took away from it. She's just pure heart.
Yes, we had so much fun talking to Nina Spears. She is the co-founder of Baby Chick, which is a website that provides education and resources. Her background is she was a doula for many years, and she has a passion for helping moms through pregnancy and birth and parenthood. And she was so fun to talk to. She's so inspiring. She decided what she wanted to do with her life was something that she was passionate about, and she chose what her parents at least thought were a little bit unconventional routes, and she went for it. She is also now a mom herself. She has a young kiddo and is pregnant with their second baby. So we had a great time talking to her. We hope you enjoy and get some inspiration out of our conversation with Nina.
Thank you for listening. Please make sure to leave a rating or review if you like this episode, and you can find us at momandpodcast.com or on Instagram at momandpodcast. Hi, Nina. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of Mommin'.
Absolutely, Jessica, Megan, thank you so much for having me.
We are so excited. So to get started, we usually have people tell us a little bit about themselves. So who you are, what you do for work, about your family, where you live.
Oh, goodness. Where do you start? Yes. So I am a mom and a wife and a doula, and basically a girl power kind of mom. It's all about supporting other moms. And I live in Houston, Texas. I own the company Baby Chick. So we are a resource for expecting and new moms. And yeah, I mean, I'm just all about being a good mom, being a good wife, and hopefully providing great information for other moms out there through all the stages of motherhood.
That's awesome. We love that.
Thank you.
If you're comfortable sharing, we like to sort of hear from our guests about how they decided to have a family, if they talked about with their partner ahead of time, how many kids they wanted, and when they wanted to start trying, if you'd be willing to share your experience and background with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So it was pretty much known that when my husband met me in 2011 is when we met. I was a doula and a baby planner, and I was teaching childbirth classes. So it was kind of a given that I like kids and that I might one day want to be a mom. So that didn't come as a shock. And I'm also just an open book. So I told him as soon as we met, I was like, if kids aren't in your future, then I'm not in your future. So this isn't going to work. And he was like, no, I could see myself being a dad. And I did ask him, well, how many kids do you want? My dream was like, oh, I'd love to have 4 kids, like a big family. It's just me and my brother. So I always thought, oh, having a big family would be so fun. And he was like, yeah, 2, maybe 3. And I thought, well, maybe I could change that in the future. But yeah, we always decided kids were in our future. So that was a good thing that we were on the same page. And I said, okay, 2 minimum for sure. We'll stick with that too.
Has that changed for either of you after having your first?
Yes, for me. And honestly, if I were a stay-at-home mom, I would love to have 4 kids. I love being a mom. However, being a full-time working mom, oh my gosh, it is really tough. And that's when I realized having my child, I knew it was going to be challenging balancing both, but realizing, oh my gosh, add 3 more tiny humans on top of what I do. It's just, I mean, praise. I seriously, to the moms who do it, my full respect. But I just know that I couldn't. That's just not something that I could do well. I don't think I would be the best parent I could be or the best boss I could be. So yeah, so I think 2 or 3 is our number, but we're currently expecting number 2. We're very excited about it. And we found out it's a girl. So I think we're done with 2. We have our boy and we'll have our girl. So, well, I think we'll be fine.
Oh, congrats. It's so exciting.
Thank you. Yes, we're very excited.
How many weeks are you?
16 weeks. I had to
Okay.
think about it for a second. I'm used to talking to all different different moms. And the funny thing is, 5 of my girlfriends are pregnant. So, and we're all pregnant. Like the first one is Christmas. The next one is like the first week in January. The next one's like mid-January. I'm the end of February. I have a friend that's due 2 weeks after me. I mean, it's just like babies galore. So I'm like, wait, which one's mine? I need to think about which mine due date is. Yeah, so 16 weeks. So we still have a ways to go.
Which is okay. It's always good to have a little more time. Are you feeling okay?
Oh, much better. Thank you for asking. That's so kind. My first trimester was definitely different compared to my last pregnancy. My last pregnancy, I just had like nausea here and there when I just smelled something that, didn't sit well with me. Oh, no. This whole pregnancy has been different. But I'm very grateful that at like 13 weeks, the nausea has gone away. I feel so much more like myself. We won't talk about like the skin issues and all the other things that didn't happen the first time around. But yes, overall, I feel good. And I feel blessed that she's healthy so far. So we're in a good spot.
Oh, that's great.
Glad you're feeling better. Nausea is such a bad feeling.
It is. It's the girls too. I remember I was so sick, with my daughter, and then I wasn't as much with my son, and the doctor saying it's a boy before I even knew, because apparently it's those girls.
But it's so funny because I've helped like 600 moms. So, and I will say that on majority of the time, yes, the sickness is with the girls, but there are a couple where they'll be fine with girls, but with the boys, they'll be sick. Like actually my friend who's due in March, she has 2 girls, never had morning sickness, and she's pregnant with a boy right now, and she is just feeling awful. So I feel terrible for her. But yes, typically it is with the girls. And I'm like, darn it, you girls, what are you doing to your mamas?
We're just such a strong personality from the start.
Right? That's so true.
And what do you feel like are the best and hardest, so the good and the hard parts about being a mom for you?
Oh gosh. Well, I think every mom would say the hardest parts are when you see your child sick or hurt. I mean, that's just like, just tugs at you. You would take any pain away from them if you possibly could. I think the hardest part for being a woman is recognizing you're never going to be the woman that you once were before. And sometimes that's for the best, and sometimes that's not. And you're like, I'll never have that carefree life ever again. I'll never be able to just, roll out of bed and go wherever I want and not have to think about someone else's schedule or whatever. So, as a woman, that can be sometimes hard, of recognizing you can't be who you once were. However, you would never, ever, ever change your life because you couldn't imagine life without your child. I mean, because there are some mornings where I'm like, oh, I just want to go to Starbucks and I just want to read a book there, but I can't do that. But I mean, he's worth all the sacrifices in the world. And I am positive every mother totally agrees. I think the other hard thing is, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, is being a working mom. That is really tough because you feel like you are everywhere and nowhere at the same time. You feel like you're having to do, your mind is in one place while you're somewhere else, and your heart just aches when you can't be there with your child. I can't be my kid's homeroom mom. I can't be going to the field trips. I can't do any of those things since I work full time. So those kind of things are really hard, but I then remind myself I am teaching him, that working is a good thing. I'm teaching him lessons that he wouldn't learn otherwise, and that it's okay to be a working mom. So that can be really hard, but for sure the best things, is just watching this human that you grew become this like amazing human being. I love that. I love seeing him grow, and the snuggles and the hugs and the kisses and the "I love you, mommy" without being prompted.
Yes.
And watching him learn manners, me giving him something, "Thank you, mommy." And just watching them grow into the humans that they're meant to be is so rewarding. And I feel privileged that I get to be his mom.
That's an amazing answer.
Yes.
I feel everything you just said.
Mm-hmm.
It can be hard, but so awesome, right?
Yes, totally. Yes, when you said that, go to Starbucks. Yes, I feel that all the time. But then, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't give it up. It's just.
But you're like, but I want to go out dancing with my girlfriends. Like, just let me do that. And but are you kidding me? I can't stay up till midnight. I'm too tired. It's not going to happen anymore.
True.
So yeah, just recognizing those things can be tough, but oh my gosh, all of those snuggles and watching them grow and recognizing parts of you and parts of your partner, it's the coolest thing. And I feel so blessed that he chose me as his mom.
That's awesome. Love that. So you've talked a tiny bit about being a full-time working mom, but can you tell us a little bit about your professional background? You started as a doula, now you own Baby Chick, just about the evolution of all of that and how it came to be.
Yeah. I started working with moms. Well, let's start at the very beginning, y'all. Okay. So I graduated college and didn't know what to do with my life. Shocker, like most graduates. But for some reason, I felt like every graduate knew what they were supposed to do with their life. And I thought I was, behind everything. So I went to a life coach and I was like, I need to figure out what to do with my life. And of course, I got a job because I needed to take care of myself. But while I was seeing my life coach, we recognized that what I was doing, I was in sales and I was good at it. I did well in sales, but I didn't feel like what I was doing was helping anybody, or I just felt like there wasn't a greater purpose to what I was doing. And she recognized, wow, you really have a passion for serving others. And I can tell that you have a real big heart for helping women and really babies. Maybe you should look into the maternity field and that sort of thing. So I did. I quit my job and I started working for like a mommy boutique that was local. And I totally fell in love with like the maternity world. I recognized, oh my gosh, these women have no idea what they're doing. They don't know what they should be buying. They don't know the first things about any of this. And it broke my heart. I was like, there really needs to be a place that women can go to or call to answer their questions, to know that what they're experiencing is normal, and to just give them that relief of like, girl, no, you don't need this. You just need these things and that sort of thing. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm like a genius. It's like a wedding planner, but to prepare you for your baby. Oh, I'm so brilliant. And then I Googled some stuff and there's like a certification for baby planning. And I realized, oh, okay, then I didn't think of this whole new career path. So that's the first thing I did. I got certified as a baby planner, which helps families prepare for their new arrival, whether that's adoption or birth or whatever. And so I helped a couple families doing that, which was so cool, with baby showers and baby registries and all of that. But one of my clients invited me to her birth. And I was like, oh, okay. Because you build such a good relationship, with these women. And it's such a huge monumental time. So you build this bond. And she was like, Nina, I would just love for you to be there. And I was like, okay, sure. I'd love to be there. So I went, and she was in a hospital and she had a doula and she had her husband. And I just remember watching her labor and like holding her hand and, just helping them feel supported. But watching the doula, and I was fascinated. I just thought it was like so cool. And when she gave birth to that baby girl, I just bawled. I cried so hard, and the doctor was like, "Is this your first birth?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." And it was just the coolest, most magical thing. And in that moment, I knew that I had to be a doula. So I went and it took me 2 years, and I went and got my doula certification through DONA, Doulas of North America International. And then I realized how important touch is during the whole process when you're supporting a laboring woman. So I went into massage school, and that took another 6+ months and then a year to get my license as a licensed massage therapist. And I got certified in prenatal massage, labor induction massage, labor massage, postpartum massage. And then I became an infant massage instructor. So I got my certification in that. I then realized I wanted to teach classes. So I went and did childbirth education, newborn care education, and then infant massage instruction, taught those classes. And then I wanted to help families when they brought their babies home. Because the more that I worked with families, I realized that women are thinking about birth so much, but they're not thinking about life when they bring that baby home enough. They're thinking about it, but they're not thinking about it as much as they should. They're thinking about their birth plan, but they really need to be thinking about a postpartum plan. And so I went, and it took me another 2 years to get my postpartum doula certification through DONA. And yeah, it's just evolved since then. And so over the past 10 years, I've helped over 600 moms in all of those different areas. And I've attended mainly hospital births, but a lot of home births and birth center births as well. And lots of families bringing their babies home and helping them realize what type of support they need when they come home. So it's been amazing. And through all of that, my now husband, he watched this whole evolution start because he met me when I was in massage school. And he was like, okay, this girl's, being a doula, doing, her stuff. Okay. He saw my passion, and he saw how my business was going, because I had a doula agency at that time, and I had up to 12 doulas working for me. And we catered to the Houston area, helping moms during pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. And he said, gosh, Nina, you have so much knowledge and talent, and you should do a website. You should have this information out there for moms everywhere. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I'm not going to do that by myself. I already have a whole other company and clients, and but I'll do it if you do it with me. It took him like a nanosecond, and he was like, yes, let's do it. And I was like, great. Okay, let's do it. So we started Baby Chick, and Baby Chick, it originally started as like a t-shirt shop with like fun motherhood quotes and a blog where I would share my, tips that a lot of my clients were asking me the same questions. So then I could say, here you go. This is exactly what I tell all my moms. Here's some great resources that are attached to it, if you need additional information. So I started that way, and we recognized how popular that was. So it was in 2017 when we realized, okay, let's ditch the shop and really switch to a digital media company and focus on the information and really helping women through every stage of motherhood. And that's a big thing. I'm really a huge advocate for, there's not one way to give birth to a baby. There's not one way to parent a baby. And you should know all the different options so you can make the best choice for you, because what worked for Sally down the street might not work for you. What your sister did might not be something you're comfortable with, and that's okay. But what you should know are your options. You should know the benefits and risks to each one so that you can make the best choice for you and your family. So that's what we're all about, and we've been continuing to grow, and we're just so thrilled with the response that we've gotten so far. But I apologize for the very long-winded, but I wanted to be thorough.
No, that was so inspiring. I love that you were young and like
I was.
thinking like kind of unconventional things for someone your age, probably.
Yes, my parents thought I was crazy. They were like, "What?" And my dad is a surgeon, and my mom was an ER nurse, and they're like, "What is our daughter doing? Like, she's off her rocker. She's a doula. Like, what is that?" Anyway, so it's fine.
Oh, I love that though. I was wondering, I was like, oh, I wonder if one of her parents is in business, but no.
No, not at all.
That is inspiring is absolutely the word. Just incredible. I love your reaction to the first time you were asked to be at a birth. And to go from that to being the baby chick.
Yeah, now I'm like, oh, can I be at your birth, please?
So I have to know, what is it like being at someone else's birth?
Oh my gosh. Well, it can be a lot of things. It's not for everyone. I kind of call it like joining the priesthood. You're either called to do it or you're not. Like if you go to a birth and you're just like, oh wow, yeah, that was really cool. That's how some people are like, oh, I'm traumatized, like I can't ever go ever again. But for me, I seriously had like this revelation of, oh my gosh, this is just the most beautiful and powerful thing that a woman could ever do. And recognizing that women don't receive the type of support that they should breaks my heart. I need to help as many of these women as possible. And so now I'm just like, people will be like, TMI, Nina, but I have this question. I'm like, girl, I've been asked everything. I've seen everything. I've smelled everything. Like, there's nothing you can surprise me with that's TMI. I've had people text me weird pictures. Like, you're fine.
I'm in the medical field and I so feel that. And like I'm like, it just you don't even need to say that. We can skip. Just send me the picture.
Exactly.
It does always make me feel better to know that there are people out there who are totally fine doing it.
Oh, yes. And actually, like, I welcome it because I'm like, you're not going to feel comfortable telling someone else. And, it sometimes feels nice to talk to like a girlfriend. And that's what people have said to me. They're like, Nina, I really love that. I feel like I'm talking to a friend who doesn't have another agenda, isn't working for the hospital, they're just there for me. And I know that I can trust you because you don't have an agenda. Yeah. You don't have to tell me one way or the other to get a result that you want. You just want what's best for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think that comes across so much on your website. Reading your site feels so warm and welcoming. That's one of the reasons that we loved it. And I just felt like it was this welcome, open arms womanhood, like the sisterhood saying like, here you are, you're okay.
Like I could cry just hearing that. I'm emotional. Like that's just, it's part of it. If you're not emotional and a doula, I don't know what you're doing. Like you should be emotional. Things should touch you. But that means so much to me because that's my whole purpose in life is to let moms know that they're not alone, that there is support out there, and that we're here to help in any way that we can.
Oh, and it's so needed. I love that so much. And what I'm curious because for me, so I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner, so I work with new moms, and I had done it for about a year and had been a peds nurse for forever before I had a child, and I completely shifted my perspective and how I practiced after having a child. And now I wish I could go back to some of those patients and be like, I'm so sorry, I didn't understand. Not that I wasn't empathetic, but it's just different. Has that shifted at all, like your goals for Baby Chick or kind of your approach professionally having a child now?
That's a great question. Not really. To be honest, I feel like I may have been a better doula before I had a child. because I didn't have preconceived notions. I wasn't walking in with my own birth story or my own experiences. I was walking in as a blank slate with training and experience and ready to have your experience and help you through it. Now I'm like, girl, I know what you're feeling. Like, you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like before, I'm like, yes, it's hard. I totally can potentially understand what you're feeling. But now, I obviously I am completely empathetic to women in that moment. But sometimes I'm like, it's nice when I don't have to worry about childcare in the middle of the night. It's nice that kids are germy, sorry, but like they are. And I have to make sure that he's always, healthy so that I don't miss a birth. Before I didn't have to worry about that. Things can be a bit more complicated when you have a child. But as for goals for our company, absolutely not. If anything, it makes me want to be even more ambitious. It makes me want to take even more risks because I want to do bigger and better and show him that you can do anything that you set your mind to. You just have to be willing to put in the work. Things aren't given to you. I believe in God and I pray, but I don't believe that you can pray for something to happen. I believe that you can, pray about it and pray for the wisdom, but you have to put in the work to get it done. And so I want to show him that his mom and his dad can do hard things and succeed. And that if he really, really wants something in life, that he can do it too. So if anything, it just drives me even more.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So are you still an active doula?
So I was, even after I had my son, but our company, Baby Chick, has really grown and is requiring more and more of my time, which is a wonderful thing. So I've actually stopped taking clients. I've only been taking like close friends, that sort of thing. But I've pretty much stopped at this point because our company is requiring so much more of my time, which again is such a blessing. But I've only been going to a couple of births here and there when I'm just like, no, I cannot miss this birth. I am not missing this baby. I don't care. But so yeah, after I had my son, I did take some time off so that because breastfeeding was really important to me, that I wanted to do that. But then once he turned a year, I was like, all right, it's on. I'm back. And I was full-time doula. But then after that, we started realizing, oh, Nina, we need more of you. We can't have you leaving in the middle of the night because when you have scheduled photo shoots and then someone has a baby, like you can't reschedule, everything. It can be really tough. So you have to kind of pick and choose.
Yeah, that's fair. And is your husband, is that his full-time gig too, is working at Baby Chick with you?
Yes. We're very blessed that he now has been, a while ago, he quit and worked full-time with Baby Chick, but then we decided we wanted to grow our family and have a child. So for insurance purposes and all the other reasons, he went and back to work and got another job. But then I want to say almost 2 years ago, I think in January, it'll be 2 years. He's now back full time with Baby Chick. So we're so happy that he's back full time because he is very needed.
Oh, that's awesome.
What was if you don't mind me asking, was his background in building websites or any of that beforehand?
No, not whatsoever. Oil and gas.
Nope, then no.
Good for you guys.
Yeah, we're very driven people. Like when we want something or want to do something, we just go for it. And so he is self-taught. He does so much research into all of that. And, people will be like, oh my gosh, have you guys gotten funding? Have you done this? Have you had mentors? I'm like, no, we've done it all on our own. We'd love a mentor. That'd be great. But no, we've had to figure it all out. And, sometimes I'm like, that's a good thing. We've had to make our own mistakes and figure things out, but it's made us stronger. And now because we made those mistakes, we definitely know not what to do and what does work. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful that we have each other in this business.
That's amazing. And that you like working together.
I wouldn't go. Did I say that? Did I say those exact words?
Fair, you did not.
Because I totally appreciate him. And oh my gosh, like he does so much for our business. And I feel terrible because everyone thinks, oh, it's Nina because I'm the face and I'm like the content. But I mean, he's like everything on the back end. Like he just does so much. And I feel awful that he doesn't get the accolades that he totally deserves. But I will say, oh my gosh, sometimes you just want to be like, hey, I don't want to be your business partner right now. Can I just be your wife?
Mm-hmm.
Can we stop? Can we stop that? And that's really tough because when you're like us, super driven and have a goal, it's hard to turn off, and we hardly do that. And so working together can be really, really tough because you start blurring that line of coworker and spouse. So being cognizant of that and making the time to say, all right, we're either go in your office and work and don't talk to me because I need to not talk to you about work. Or if you're going to come out here, we can't talk about work, you know. So it's setting boundaries and understanding that you have to have times to unplug.
Absolutely. That sounds like it would be challenging.
Yes, it is, because you can't escape your coworker, and it's like, well, did you get this done? No, but you know, so it can be tough.
Oh, I could see that. And do you guys work in an office, or do you work from, or right now, it might be different.
So with my first company, I did have like a brick and mortar store. And so families would come to us and we would, you know, have all of our events there and help moms do our consultations. But with Baby Chick, we've always done remote because we feel like having the best talent may not all be in Houston. You know, actually, some of our developers are in Italy. You know, we have people from all over the world who work for us, and we feel that that's actually a benefit rather than having to pay for overhead and all of those things. Why not be able to work from home, still get the job done? And thank God for, I mean, technology, it's wonderful and awful, right? So, but you can hop on a video conference call. It just makes things so much easier. And then it also gives us the opportunity to have moms work with us. So for moms who want to have a job, you know, but still want to be at home with their kids, it's possible. So yeah, those are important to us. And so we've always worked remotely, but in our house, I have an office and he has an office.
That sounds important.
Yeah. It's good to have your space.
Yes.
Especially now that we're all up in each other's space.
Right.
Nonstop.
Yes, exactly. Oh man.
Do you have any long-term goals for Baby Chick that you're willing to like share with us or talk to us about at all?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, to continue growing our site, we hope to expand our shop into our own products, creating our own items. I'd love to write a couple books. I have ideas already. I actually have written one already. I just need to get it going. I have several. I have 2 ideas for apps. So I want to be able to include that as well. Do events to have moms actually come together. Sometime in the future, we can all get together. That would be great. I want to have classes so people can, be able to take a class from me. I mean, there's so many things that I would love to do. But another thing is we have a producer. So we are working on potentially doing a television show about what we do. So it would be really cool to be able to show me helping them and going into their homes and helping with their babies or their pregnancies and that sort of thing. So I'm hoping that works out. COVID kind of put all of that at a pause. So we have tons of goals. I mean, I would love to do so much. Again, we're very driven people. We are big dreamers and we're okay with that because we're like, you know what, if you shoot for the moon and you land amongst the stars are pretty darn good if you're shooting that high. So, that's what we believe.
Oh, I love that. You're like inspiring me. You're giving me I love that. I love hearing someone who's a dreamer and like putting it into action.
Oh, yes. No, I'm a doer. Like if I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this, without a doubt, I'm 100% doing it. Like if I say, oh, I'm going to go on a diet, no, I'm like doing it. I'm not just playing around with the idea or whatever. Like if I say it out loud, I feel like our word is our bond. If I promise you that I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be there. I just don't like the flakiness, the back and forth. It plays with your own mind. Like, just if you want something bad enough, do it, go for it. So that's just how I function.
You're amazing.
I don't know about that, but I sometimes I'm like, why do you think, I mean, I have all of these goals, but obviously I can't achieve them all like in 6 months. I wish that would be great.
Yes.
And sometimes patience. Oh my gosh. Patience is really, really, really hard. Because again, I've been working with moms for 10 years. And we started Baby Chick in 2015. So almost 6 years, it'll be in May. So, I mean, in digital media world, people are like, oh, you guys are babies. But to me, I'm like, 6 years, that's a long time. So yeah, having to recognize that I need to be patient, but just don't give up. The reason why 90+% of businesses quit or fail is because they quit. Mm-hmm. It's because they didn't keep going. Everyone stumbles on things. Everyone has hardships, but you just have to figure it out and keep going.
Oh, so
that is amazing advice.
It's like, it's just like a little pep talk over here. Or a big pep talk, really.
Oh no, you guys are great. I don't know. You don't need a pep talk, so.
It's helpful to hear because I've been starting a couple of things. And so it's like, oh, this is like, yep, I'm going to keep stumbling, but that's okay.
Finding support, recognizing like you are totally capable of doing this, doing your research and putting in the hard work, like putting in the time, recognizing like, I've had to say no to girls' nights or, friend trips. And sometimes it sucks when you're like, oh, I just want to be normal. I want to do things like normal people. And then my husband's like, well, do you want a normal life? And I'm like, maybe not. No, I want an extraordinary life. So I have to go to extraordinary measures to be able to get that extraordinary life. And you have to sacrifice things that most people aren't willing to sacrifice. Mm-hmm. So I just have to remind myself when the tough really gets going,
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm just sitting over here like, I'm going to put all these quotes on the wall.
It's so true. So shifting gears a little bit. So you mentioned on your site that you have a twin brother. Can you tell us about growing up with a twin?
Yeah. I mean, it's all I've ever known. So I don't really know life any other way than being a twin. But it's awesome because you are never alone. You always have a friend. You always have a buddy. So that's really nice to never feel like you're in this world alone, which is great. But it's tough when you're little because you always have to share. You have to share the womb. You have to share the boobs. You have to share the toys. You have to learn to share from early on. So, and then I have a twin brother. So being of opposite genders, sharing a room until you're 13, can I just say that's what I had to do? That can be tough. So sharing is hard. It taught me empathy. It taught me so much. And it really, honestly, being his twin sister made me who I am today. I know if I didn't have him as my twin, I wouldn't be the same person.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're closer? But it's hard to know because, like you said, you know nothing but having a twin. But do you feel like because you're twins, you're closer?
So with my situation, it's also very different because my brother was diagnosed at the age of 3 with autism, which in the 80s was very early. I mean, autism wasn't really discussed or known as much. I mean, it was becoming a bit more I hate to say popular, but mm-hmm. the education about it was getting out more in the 80s, but it was still, I mean, hardly any resources for families out there. And luckily with both of my parents being in the medical field, they knew who to talk to. They knew the right physicians that they should be seeking and getting that, type of information. And so they were able to, at such an early age in the 80s, get a diagnosis. So when people say, are you closer? It's a very different kind of close, because my brother, he's at like the mental age of a 2-year-old. So, and he's also, I mean, he's verbal, but he's nonverbal. And what I mean by that is he can repeat words, but the words that he's saying aren't necessarily the thoughts that he's thinking. So he knows scripted things like, how are you? How are you? Fine. You know, what did you do today? Played basketball. He probably didn't even look at a basketball that whole day, but he knows that that's an appropriate answer to that question. So growing up and being his sister, I was a protector. And my mom said when I was 2, she started calling me Mom and Nina because I took care of him. I really did. He was my baby. And kids can be so cruel. Oh my gosh, they can be awful. So yeah, I was definitely a protector and a teacher and his honestly his mouthpiece. We had that weird twin thing of like, I knew when he was hurting, or I knew when he needed something, or when he wanted a certain thing. I would be like, Mom, he wants chocolate milk. And she's like, well, I didn't know that. But that's a lot of responsibility for a child to be, you know, that mouthpiece and that caretaker. But again, it made me grow up a lot faster. But I learned empathy and kindness and recognizing that everyone's different but beautiful in their own way. And children especially don't necessarily learn that as you know, as big of a lesson at that age, unless, you know, they're experiencing something like that. So are we close? Yes. As I've gotten older, no, unfortunately, because now I have my own family and I've moved away and I'm very busy with my career. But when we see each other, I mean, you can feel the love. It's just, it's hard to describe. It's a twin thing, and it's a twin thing, but it's also a thing that when that twin has a disability and you have that history and that love for one another, it's hard to put into words.
I can, and people can't see you, but we can, and you can just see how much you love your brother and hear it, but I can see it too.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, you know, there's not popular, like I said, but more known, and people are more educated now. So we see more children diagnosed with autism. Do you have any insights or resources or advice for people who have a child who is diagnosed, especially from the sibling perspective of maybe how to support the sibling who isn't diagnosed or anything like that?
I mean, first off, it's just so challenging. So the first thing that like I recommend parents do is like, if you start recognizing that your child's not meeting certain milestones, and by like not just a couple months, but like a while, like you just know in your gut something is off, something is wrong. Listen to your intuition and find the people to get those type of assessments that you need so you can get some answers, because the more answers that you get, the earlier the intervention that you can get, and the earlier intervention, the more successful that intervention will be. So I'm all about like, if you just feel something is off, don't brush it off. Don't be like, oh, they'll grow out of it, because the more that you're putting that off, the less time they'll have to get help. You might start feeling so guilty, like, oh, it's something that I did, or I'm not a good enough parent, or I didn't do this, or, you know, whatever it is. And it has nothing to do with you. You have done the best that you possibly can, but getting the help that your child needs is going to help you be the best parent you can be, and for them to live the quality of life that they deserve. So I'm all about, you know, finding the right people so that you can, you know, get the support that you really need. Also, there's a really cool new saliva test that's available called Clarify, CLARIFI. And you can take it as early as 18 months and 6 years old. And basically, they've developed like an algorithm that looks at human RNA and microbial RNA, and together are able to determine with like 85% accuracy if the child is on the spectrum, which is so cool. Just from a swab in their mouth, from saliva. And it takes a couple of weeks, and you have to go to a doctor, your pediatrician, to get that. And it's not a diagnosis. It's not saying, oh, your child is on the spectrum. But if your child is showing signs that they might be on the spectrum, it can get you into doors to meet the right people and say something is off. We've taken even this test and it's showing that this is off. It's not just me being an irrational mother. So I think that that's a really great other tool that I think is so, groundbreaking and amazing for parents. Another thing is it can be so difficult on a marriage when a child has a disability. And it can also be really difficult on the other children because, again, the other children have to grow up a lot more. I remember my parents telling me, he doesn't know better, but you do. You need to act up. You need to straighten up. You need to, not be like that. But I was just a kid. I was a kid too. And sometimes I wasn't allowed to be a kid because he was acting like a toddler most of his life or, all of his life. So that can be really tough. So I highly recommend therapy because you have to grow together. Otherwise, you can grow apart during it. And my parents didn't make it. My parents, divorced, and that's really tough. And I attribute it that, my brother's diagnosis kind of being a stepping stone in that direction. So yeah, I think that therapy is very important. Communication, being on the same page, getting the help that you need, not only for your child, but your whole family to know how you can get through this together is essential.
I love all of that, especially the part where you're saying if you feel like something is off and you have to be your child's biggest advocate. So I think that's such a good reminder. And I love that you said that.
Yeah, you can't, it's not your fault. Oh my God, it's not your fault. I felt even guilty with my son having like verbal delays. I was like, oh no, he's not saying the 500 words he's supposed to be saying at, this point. And now you can't shut him up. But back, then I was like freaking out and I was like, I need to get him evaluated. And then people are like, Nina, calm down. He's normal. Like, we know there's plenty of stuff going on up there. He's manipulative. He's opinionated. It was no problem with your son. And I was like, yeah, but he's not saying, this and that. So, even in those moments, just don't be hard on yourself and get the answers. Even if you're scared to get those answers, you have to do it.
That's good advice. And also, if you're feeling like, now this is a hard thing for me to say because sometimes I do just need to reassure a family that something's fine. But if you don't feel like you are even if you're seeing a pediatrician or a provider who isn't hearing you or is making you feel uncomfortable just for asking, maybe that's not the right fit for you. And it might not be them. It just might be your combination of personalities. But I think it's so important to feel comfortable.
Oh, absolutely. It's so important too. And I think that's with any care provider, whether that's, your pediatrician, your obstetrician, your dentist, I don't care who it is. If they're taking care of you, you need to feel comfortable with that person and especially your child.
Yeah.
So that's so important. I agree.
And you kind of touched on, but anything that you felt like you needed more as a child with a sibling with a disability or things your parents did great that would be helpful to someone who's just starting on this road as a parent with, a child who has a disability and who doesn't?
Something that I tell my families who do have a child with disabilities and other children is you really need to set time aside to have a date with just that child. And I think that's actually important for families, even with multiple children it's important to have just one-on-one time with each child. And when you have a special needs child, you get so wrapped up with their schedule and their therapies and all of your work stuff and the house stuff. And it can be tough to remember that. And that's something I wish my parents would have done is done like a monthly or a bi-weekly or whatever it is, like ice cream trip just with me and just had that time to recognize that, you're a kid and none of this is your fault and you're doing a great job. And thank you for being, a good sister and whatever it is that you want to tell that child. But I think it's really important to give them that time too, because when that child just sees so much time and attention put on the other child, you either you go in two directions. You either get a lot of misbehaving because they want your attention, or you get a perfectionist and who wants the accolades, and someone who can say, oh, you're doing such a great job. So, and honestly, neither one are good. So because no one's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And to have those kind of expectations of yourself are just ridiculous. And so yeah, I think that's really important.
Yeah, it's good advice.
So switching gears entirely, I really appreciate you giving us that perspective, though. And I think that's so helpful, especially as people who are just starting to navigate this journey. I think that's really important for them to hear that. So thank you for that. So you are pregnant right now. You have a young child. You're running your company. It's COVID. So what are you doing to take care of yourself? How are you giving yourself a break or sort of reinvigorating yourself?
So how I'm taking care of myself this time around with this pregnancy is I'm making myself work out. And by saying making myself, I'm not the girl who loves to work out. No, that's not me. I hate it, actually. But I recognize all of the benefits and how I feel afterwards, and how I feel even days afterwards. Just my attitude changes and just all of it. So I'm making myself do regular exercise. So I go to Orange Theory and I do that and really enjoy it. For as much as I possibly can, because I don't like anything else. And another thing, I'm making more time to make sure that I have healthier snack options available in the house. I feel like if you set the time aside to, cut up your vegetables, cut up some fruit, put it in, your Tupperware, and put it in the fridge and put it at eye level, you're not as quick to grab the chips or the cookies or whatever. You recognize, oh, I need to eat this. I boil a bunch of hard-boiled eggs. So I then have protein and veggies and all these different things. So I'm making a much better effort at, my health, mentally and physically, and that sort of thing.
That's great. I love your honesty about working out.
Yeah, no, not my thing, but I'm doing my best.
You like Orange Theory a lot. I love that.
I do love it. I really do. But another fun fact, I did competitive weightlifting in high school.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, never would have thought. Nope. So I like weightlifting. I really enjoy that. And that has a component, but obviously, cardio is really important too. So I like how it incorporates all of that in a more fun way.
That's awesome. And what is a favorite parenting tip or a piece of advice that you've been given by someone?
Oh my goodness. Favorite parenting tip that I've been given. I hate to say not too many people have given me tips because they're like, oh, Nina, you know this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know it. And I'm like, remind me. I don't know it sometimes. But the tips I think that I, at least in the stage that I'm in right now, is be consistent with your discipline. That's something that I'm big on. Sometimes it's okay to give in every now and then because, it's survival at the end of the day. You got to survive. But recognize that there are set certain boundaries for your kids to recognize, like, no, if you do this is the consequence. You're not allowed to run on the couch. I'm sorry. If you whatever your rule is. Once I count to 3, no, I'm not going to play around. You are going to time out. So being consistent with that, because kids are smart. Oh my gosh, are they smart? They can play you like a fiddle. Oh. And as soon as they realize that they can get an inch from you, they will take a mile. So definitely be consistent is good. And don't compare your kids to one another. Each kid goes at their own pace. And sometimes you may wish, oh, I just wish my other kid was doing more like what my other kid is doing. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Keep that to yourself. We're all blooming at our own time, and to give your kid grace and love them through it. Because at the end of the day, they just want to know that their mom and dad love them and support them. So don't compare. And that means you don't have to parent them all the same way. I think you think that you need to parent every kid the exact same way. No, what works for one kid may not work for the other. And that's okay, to figure out what works for your family and for your kids. And then for me, like like a tip that was helpful for me is, make sure do a fun chore with a not fun chore, like laundry. Hate it. Okay, so what do I do when I'm doing laundry? I turn on like a television show or a podcast, and I listen to that while I'm folding laundry. So then I'm doing something that I enjoy with something that I really don't enjoy. So I try to make sure that, like, all right, if I don't really want to do this, what can I do to make it a little bit more enjoyable? So that's another mom tip that I would recommend.
Yes.
Brilliant. Well, Nina, this has been awesome, truly amazing to talk to you. You are so inspiring, and I am just so grateful that you took the time to chat with us.
Oh, well, I'm honored that you guys took the time to reach out and chat with me. Again, I apologize for taking so long, but I am passionate, if you couldn't tell.
No,
no, we're just we know you're busy. We're just trying to respect your time. I feel like I'm like trying to like remember. I'm going to have to take notes later.
It's a good thing we do show notes.
Yes.
Yes. And where can people find you?
For more information on what we've been talking about on Baby Chick, they can go to www.baby-chick.com, or they can find us on social media, on Instagram and Pinterest. It's The Baby Chick. On Facebook, I think the tag is Team Baby Chick. And then we have a podcast too, Chick Chat, the Baby Chick podcast. So yeah, you can find us almost anywhere.
Awesome. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, guys. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Mommin. We really hope you enjoyed hearing from Nina. If you have time, we would love if you would share this with a friend and leave us a rating and review. You can find us at Mommin Podcast on Instagram or momminpodcast.com. We hope you guys all have a great week. And if you haven't already, make sure you are registered to vote and head to the polls.
Thank you.
Bye.